Hello everyone and welcome to Pro Guide's Weekly News Recap, the show where we keep you up to date on everything in League current events. In this last week, there's been tons of crazy stuff going on, and we're going to talk about it all. Dopa is retiring, Samira's already been hotfixed, Seraphine is performing at Worlds, and mid lane is finally being nerfed. There's just so much to talk about. To start things off, we're looking ahead to the preseason. There were two pretty big changes announced. For starters, mid lane, or specifically roaming mid laners, are getting nerfed. Cannons in the mid lane only will now be worth 10 less gold and will gain 30% attack speed when attacking towers. I'm not too sure how much the 10 gold difference is really going to mean, but cannons hitting turrets faster means you're punished a lot more on unsuccessful roams, since that damage, especially in the early stages of the game, may make the difference in your opponent getting a turret play or not when left uninhibited. With the current state of League, a very common complaint is how often games are decided by which mid gets enough priority to move on the map more, effectively winning their lane, scuttle fights, and even roaming all the way to bottom for a 4-man dive. While going for good, impactful plays should be rewarded, hopefully this change will also punish the bad roams by giving mid laners that choose to shove their waves and hit tower an easier time taking plays, instead of them always feeling like it's their duty to follow their lane. In addition to those mid changes, crit items are getting a pretty big rework. First, critical strike damage is being nerfed from 200% to 175% damage to pull power from late game builds, allowing for more AD and attack speed on items. Second, critical chance per item is going from 25% to 20%. Crit chance is also being added to several other items, with Mercurial Scimitar, Bloodthirster, and Mortal Reminder being listed as a few of the targets. Previously, situationally late game items that would cost a ton of damage if built early, the combination of lower crit chance and more items having crit chance on them means these items can be built earlier when needed, without sacrificing a massive amount of DPS. We're told non-crit champs will have access to items that fill the same roles, and non-hit champs will also have some unique options to ensure that one champ type isn't just completely dominating the field. So look to the PvE to get the fully detailed look into all of that. While the first thing that jumps out at you in these changes is the reduced critical strike damage, you do have to remember that this isn't just a flat-out nerf. Yes, some late game DPS is going to be lost, but you're gaining a huge amount of flexibility in builds. Enemy has Malzahar? Currently, you're left with two choices: buy QSS for safety, but put yourself even further away from your second damage item, or forego QSS for more damage, but risk being flash ulted and just dying with no counterplay. With these item changes, you'll be able to make more meaningful item choices, and less of it feeling like just choosing the lesser of two evils. Next up, Worlds, the premier tournament of League. Worlds is the culmination of the best, putting their hearts and souls into the game. And despite the complications of COVID-19, Riot was able to figure things out and get games going on the big stage for Worlds 2020. The event is already off to an explosive start, with games already reaching over 1 million views. Sure, for the bracket stage, or even group stage, that would be on par for course, but the play-in games, day one, those are insane numbers, and it makes me so excited to see those numbers surge in the weeks to come. So far, the games themselves have been a blast to watch, and we've already started to see some upsets. One thing that has been super surprising to me, and probably all of you, is that Mad Lions and LGD are struggling on the play-ins stage. With China being the most dominant region in the past few years, LGD not even making it to the group stage would be nuts. Once these play-ins are done, be sure to head on over to LOL Esports and do your pick'ems. There are five tiers of rewards this year, with the first 4 being attainable even with some misses here and there, with each giving you a different Poro icon. If you're a true prophet, able to guess every stage of Worlds perfectly, you reach the perfect pick prize and are rewarded with 5 ultimate skins as well as an Alienware Aurora PC. Whether you're doing it to compete with friends, score some adorable Poro icons, or you're aiming for that perfect finish, it's free to play and only available once a year, so don't miss out. Drops are also enabled for Worlds this year, giving even more loot out just for being a fan, with higher chances of winning the more you watch. A few different events can trigger these drops, so make sure you're watching when those highlight-worthy pentakills and big upsets happen, among other things. Speaking of Worlds, while we've all known it was coming, it's now been officially confirmed that Seraphine will be performing with KDA at the World Finals. In case you want to hear what her singing sounds like before the big show, you should head over to her YouTube channel. You just covered all the things she said, so go check it out. If you want even more content on Seraphine, check out Harmonies, the comic series Riot made to flesh out Seraphine's journey to becoming a pop star with KDA. Now, back to the topic of the best players in the world. We'll be talking about Dopa's recent announcement that this is his last season of League, due to Korea's compulsory military service. While this service is pretty much unavoidable for all Korean citizens, it still comes as a shock to see one of the best League players of all time going away indefinitely. For now, all that's sure is that he's dedicated to reaching rank 1 on the Korean server before grinding on the Chinese mega server until his time is up. But maybe he'll be back after the 18-month period of service. Sorry, Midbeast, we hate to see him go too. In other news, as we predicted before her launch, Samira was released in a disgustingly broken state, with her damage and mobility letting her stylishly cut down entire teams in seconds. Even with her complex kit and high skill floor, her win rate was barely in the negative overall, with it being overwhelmingly high in the highest levels of play. As a result, she was immediately slapped with a hotfix, cutting her down a bit, but as we saw with Aphelios, I can guarantee she's going to be still insanely strong when played well, and will need quite a few nerfs to be considered balanced. Her win rate did drop from a 50% on release towards a 47%, but it'll probably increase over time as players get better at her. Those changes are live now and will be included in the patch 10.20 notes. If you haven't already seen the full list of changes for that patch, check out our video showcasing all the upcoming buffs and nerfs. It'll be linked in the description down below. There's a ton of changes to some of your favorite champions, just like Katarina, Kassadin, Ryze, Aatrox, and so many others. We also just got an updated champion roadmap, giving us some teasers on the next few champs coming to League, as well as more on the next VGU. We're told about a musical mage, hello Seraphine, a tanky support, and a romantic jungler. We also received 3 confirmations for Mundo's big VGU. We're told he will keep his regen tank identity, continue throwing cleavers, and always go where he pleases. For a more detailed look at the champion roadmap, check out the video we posted focusing on that alone. In other news, while we're excited about Worlds, Seraphine, and the preseason 2021, it seems there's been some unfair treatment to at least one region. Brazil servers were down for over 10 hours yesterday, and Riot hasn't done anything about it. When a server is down for most of people's waking day, and they are denied a full day of farming their PsyOps pass, or just playing the game in general, you expect some type of compensation, or at least a statement. I know that when we have server issues on NA that affects events, we are usually given a mission to help make up for lost tokens, letting us catch up to, or even surpass, what we would have had without the problem. But in this case, it's full radio silence from Riot. And when the new missions rolled out for week 4 of the PsyOps event, no compensation mission was seen. Additionally, gifting has been down for 2 months on the server, again, with no real communication from Riot about what they are doing to rectify the situation. Technical issues happen, that's inevitable. But Riot's response, or lack thereof, is definitely a bit troubling and unfair to our community in Brazil. We all want to enjoy the same game. Another technical issue has also popped up, and this one seems to not only be limited to certain regions. Watch missions haven't been properly tracking for many fans across the world. The Rioter did make a statement saying that a solution was put in place to reward players for what they had already watched, but to contact player support if you still haven't seen progress in the missions at this point in time. So be sure to check on over at lolesports.com to see if yours are working properly. And the last thing we'll touch on was the last episode of Dev Doodles, the cute and informative YouTube series where Riot developers narrate their struggles with bringing ideas to reality, in animation form nonetheless. These videos fall into line with the honesty and transparency policy we see in the dev vlogs. This most recent episode covered the development of Clash, which was initially supposed to be a pretty quick release, but as we all know, ended up taking years to fully launch. Clash was meant to cover the ground between fun with friends and competitive solo queue, giving us as players the chance to compete with our friends in quick and high-stakes tournaments for glory and, of course, skins and other rewards. And while the idea was great and everything seemed to be ready to go, initial tests in the Philippine servers absolutely flopped. Games just wouldn't start. The second round of tests in Japan went fine, but further testing in Southeast Asia once again saw games just not starting. The problem was pinpointed on the server not being able to handle the extremely high loads of thousands of games starting at the exact same time, and Clash had to be pulled until a solution could be implemented. This was a dark time for the devs that worked so hard at making this thing work, but thanks to some inspirational feedback from the community, they were encouraged to keep working hard and get things rolling. And eventually, they hit the mark, bringing Clash to a full and successful launch in 2020. If you're interested in hearing the full story from the devs themselves, make sure to check out the Dev Doodle video over on the League of Legends YouTube channel. And that is all the news we have for you this week. Be sure to sub to the channel so you can stay up to date with our videos and know what's going on in and out of the game with League of Legends. See you back at the next video, but until then, as always, good luck on the Rift and stay safe.